Dang it. Mhm. What note? Woo. Good morning. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Unity of Ukaipa. I have some wonderful news for you today. That same power and presence put the galaxies into their spin, inspires a wee acorn to grow into a mighty oak tree. That same power and presence is at work in each and every one of us every time, whether we think about it or not, whether we know it or not, it is always through us. All right, so we have our welcome song. If you would like to sing along with us. Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. Yeah, maybe Sarah, you'll be closer to it. Let's see. What button? Oh, what? Okay. You might need to hit this arrow. Those arrows. Thank you, Sarah. Mercury retrograde. Thanks. We have many differences and we do things our own way. But we are one in a welcoming heart right here and right now. How we choose to live our lives looks different day to day. Our one as we sing the song right here, right now. We find a way. Guides us, we yes to the day. Welcoming each other is not about fame. It's living love and sing along the spirit of the day. We may dream a different dream and think things our own way. But we are living right, and have our Unity 5 principles. This is what we believe, and what we believe makes a difference. And it's principles we start thinking about them and putting them in our lives, changing. We see things shifting. So let's see these other. God is all things. We are each an expression. We create our experiences through our way of thinking and acting. Affirmative prayer and meditation help us align with and knowledge of these principles. We must live them. All right. Okay, we're going to move into our prayer song. Just where you are. This is the sacred space that it is sacred ground. It's only love that lights the way. It's only love that lights the way. Hand in hand and day to day. It's only love that leads the way. It's only love that makes us strong. It's only love that makes us strong. To see the sacred is where we belong. It's only love that makes us strong. Just take a moment. We center into that space within us. Dear Mother, Father God, start off with a thank you. A thank you, thank you, thank you for all that is ours to do, for all that is our joy. And we give love, the cosmic force whose sweep is irresistible. Love, the part of the Creator seeking to continually create through each of us our joy, our love, and our life. This is the journey we were born to take, to do what is ours to do, to call forth more grace and gratitude, and show up mercy and compassion, not just each other, but also for ourselves. Sometimes we are artists on ourselves in this life where things seem to pass. So we give thanks. We give that we have the ability to always ask for what we need, to always ask for direction, for guidance, for support, praise. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So it is. Amen. It's only love that's always true. It's only love that's always true. You see the light in me, see the light in you. It's only love that's always true. It's only love that heals this place. It's only love that heals this place. It's only love. All right, this is a wake you up song now. Ready? This life shows you all you came for, how to turn what you fear into an open door. This heart reveals the truth of who you are. The secrets of your soul are in this heart. Web their heart. This life shows you how to be who you are. This world opens up this heart. This life, this world, this heart. time you love, you share divinity. This heart good that you can bring. Your remembering sets you free in this heart. This heart is where you live. This heart, this life shows you how to be who you are. This world opens up. This heart, this life, this world, this heart. This heart calls forth all the greater things. When we don't believe the things we cannot see, we forget within this heart is all we'd ever need. An angel bell to soften the spell around this heart. This heart, it's where you live. This heart, this light shows you how to be who you are. This world opens up. This heart, your great big heart. This life, this world, this life, this world, this heart, this heart, this heart. Thank you very much. And a big hand here to this unity band. We've got Annie on bass, Nick on drums, and Dave Joseph right there on guitar. Yeah, thanks to these guys, always showing up. All right, let's see. I will try. Do you have to use a keyboard? Okay. Maybe I need batteries or something, huh? Doot doot. I'm just doing the series. Abundant. Right? That's what we're getting into is abundance. Abundance is about a mind. In fact, we'll just go. So abundance is our mindset, and it's the cause of what we experience in our life. Abundance then is an entity. And we can have an abundance of things, or we can have an abundance of things, right? Things that we struggle with. An abundance of more than enough, or an abundance of nothing ever works out. Okay, so prosperity then becomes the demonstration of our mindset. Our third principle is we create our experiences through our way of thinking and acting. Okay, so it's how we're thinking and acting. And then the prosperity is then what shows up in our lives, right? In our experience. So we have been going through the rules for abundant living, prosperity's rules. And I'm going to briefly run through the first 5 rules, right? In case you weren't here. So the first rule is we're all one with life. We're one with life because God is all things, and there's nothing that's left out from us, from that. Yeah, it's everything. God is all things. Now, this also means that all of life, all of the cosmos rushes to support us everything we make a decision, every time we make a decision about anything. Okay, all of life rushes to support us because we're all connected. Our second rule is we live in an expanding universe. The most literal and perfect example of this, you can take one kernel of corn and you can plant it and you get a corn stalk. You have 3 or 4 ears of corn on it. Well, each ear of corn has like hundreds. So you can see it doesn't take too many generations of planting all that corn. You're into the billions of corn kernels. Okay? It's not the only thing that does that. We do also, right? Because we are part of the all. We're one with life. The expanding universe is also working through each of us. And so that can happen when we raise a family. That's the biological way we expand, ourselves, our life. But see, it's also all the ideas that we come up with. It's being inspired and acting on that inspiration, and we're creating new things in our lives. All right, so we live in an expanding universe. It's creating through us. I know for me, it shows up like every time I write a new song. Like I have more songs now than I did years ago because it's expanding, okay? Then we have rule 3. You have to be conscious, right? We can be one with life, but be focused on like where we struggle all the time. We can be one with focus on the conditions that we don't like. Okay, so life can rush to support us. If we're busy focusing on a problem, we won't see the solution. Being focused. This is a powerful tool for us, being focused, because we're always being influenced by something, right? Maybe we're influenced, we had great sleep, and we get up, read an affirmation or feeling pretty happy. We're being influenced by the divine at work through us. Or maybe our dog got us up at 3 a.m. We had 5 hours of sleep, and she won't stop barking. This is my life. This was 2 days ago. So maybe some of us aren't being influenced by the divine, but rather by the conditions in our lives. Okay, but we always being influenced by, right? Feeling really sorry for myself. I was feeling victimized. Or I have a day where I feel pretty happy, like I'm showing up, like for the day, and it's exciting. Now, know what we're being influenced by how we feel. If we're not feeling so great, we know to change our focus, right? We focus on something else, on what we want to create. This is kind of like if you're learning archery and you look out and you see it and you take your bow and arrow. I'm not sure how you do this, but I've never shot an arrow before. But you don't see your target over there and then just go, right? No, you focus on where you want to hit. So this is the power of being focused. And then being in the flow. The universe is in constant motion. It's in the motion of giving and receiving and creating. It's utilizing. Think of this cycle of giving and receiving and giving and receiving. But actually, giving, receiving, utilizing that to the best possible way we can utilize it, and giving, right? So this flow ends up looking like a triangle, okay, or a holy trinity of sorts. And so today, we go into our 6th rule, being passionate. And it's these abundance rules then. This is all about shifting our mindset so we're manifesting in our lives our greatest good, right? The things that help us to show up in joy and have solutions to problems for the areas where we struggle. Okay, so the premise behind this rule is passion alone is neither good nor bad because it is simply an intensified energy surge. This is through us. It's what sparks that urge that matters. When you are happy doing what you love and loving what you do, you are inspired, and passion ascends naturally from within and does the heavy lifting, opening the portal to the principle of abundance, which is the consciousness of more than. Okay. It's an intensive energy surge that passes through us, but sparks that spark can be driven by what I would call our need to get revenge, to set someone straight, to judge, right? Our need to criticize, our need to complain, our need to blame. Now, if we're driven by those, okay, we're not actually activating the flow that creates greater good in our lives. In fact, we end up in resistance. Now, if we're in resistance, it's because our need to set someone straight, or our need to judge, right? Our need to push back against life. What we're doing is we're focusing on the conditions, right? We need to change this. I need to set this guy straight so I'm happy and feel good about myself. I need to change this condition so I can make some money. I need to do this or that, and then I can be happy. But see, we're pushing against life when that happens. What sparks that surge of passion? Then if we are feeling in the flow of the cosmic love, I'm talking big love, right? The cosmic force whose sweep is irresistible, the desire of source to continue creating through all of its creations and to give us everything we need to create. We're not going to experience a sense of urgency like we might feel if we have to push things into place, if we have to manipulate conditions, right? We might feel this like sense of, well, I got to make this happen. But see, when we're being pushed by divine source, right? We're being pushed along or pulled along. You could say we're being pulled along. What we experience then is not urgency, but now we all know the difference. We've all worked on creating something. We start a project. We know what that feels like to be excited. We know. I see some of you smiling, nodding, right? You know, right? You know. Okay, so we're in the flow, and things fall into place for us. This is when we experience a degree of synchronicity. Right? The universe likes to make things there. Right? So because we're in the flow, we get to experience all of that. Now here's the problem. If we just blindly follow our bliss, it is naivete. I can never say that word right. Naivete. Intentionally merging your passion with your purpose, a mindfulness practice that has to be balanced with a plan that requires teamwork between your head and heart. Our heart and our mind were designed to work. Now, here's what happens if they don't. Okay, if it's just the heart, right? Our heart, we get excited about a lot of stuff, and then we get distracted. Okay, we get excited by things, but we get distracted. It's usually because we have no plan of action. And what happens? We fizzle out, okay? For example, somebody might get excited about starting a gym on January 2nd, okay? I am actually one of those people, and I actually am time, but around everybody working out, see the weights, and maybe go over there and pick up one of the weights. It's too heavy. Maybe drop it, and they can't even pick it up again. What was I thinking? They just turn around and walk out. This is what happens if we don't have a plan. This is what we don't think to join a class or get ourselves a trainer who can point out, first of all, everything doing wrong so that we can start doing a great workout. Okay, now, if it's just the mind that's working, right, and it's taking over, we might feel the need to control, right? And with just our mind, we're always going to want to know how everything pans out. We want to know how about everything. We're not going to listen to our intuition because our intuition's only going to tell us the next thing to do, the next best. It's not going to tell us anything, right? Just do this next, okay? Our mind, we want the guarantees. So we want to know how every step of the way. We become micromanagers when it's just our mind doing the work, right? So if we're just the mind, or if we are just the heart, all of life cannot rush to support it, okay? Because we're limiting ourselves. So we get the heart and the mind together. Let's see, I think I made something for this, right? The heart and the mind together turns into commitment, turns into so we know the next thing to do, and even though we're only being guided one step in this, we go ahead and act in faith. We find what's our due on this planet. We find what's our, so it's our passion that generates our reason, points the way. So passion is from the heart, reason is from the mind, and points the way. Our heart is the engine, our mind is the compass. Okay, I like that. And this is how we discover what our calling is. So this is from the book. You arrived here predisposed with certain unique gifts and innate talents that we used. You came on a mission of sorts and were equipped to succeed on that mission. When you align with your passion, when you align your passion with those gifts and talents, you will have discovered what yours to do. This is the journey you learn to. This is the journey you want to take. Right? What is ours to do? So we all of us arrived with certain gifts and talents. We arrived here with an inclination to create something. And we're not all here to be Leonardo da Vinci or Van Gogh. All right, our gifts and talents can include things like organizing, planning things for interactions with our friends. I used to know somebody, she had to plan all the family reunions, she had to plan all the birthday parties, she had to plan the graduations. That's what she was driven to do. And if she wasn't invited to participate, she would insert herself to participate. And usually gratefully, because not everybody likes that kind of planning. What's ours to do? This can be a complicated for us, figuring out what's mine to do. What am I passionate about? What am I here to do while I'm on this planet? And so we have a couple of questions we can ask ourselves. I like to start with, what should I do? Because this is always going to insert itself. What should I do? This is where we'll talk about, I should get up and do this, have to do that. I can't just quit a job and chuck it all, for a dream. I've got to, because of these circumstances, I have to show up in this way. Okay? That's what it's like. So then we can ask the question, inspired to do? What lights me? What feels exciting? Now, this question, what I am inspired to, fueled from a different place. Instead of feeling or having the experience of restriction, limitation, resentment, obligation, blaming, complaining, we instead have the experience of excitement, enthusiasm, joy, right? Love, happiness. However, this is not enough, right? We have a couple more questions, because what's going to happen is we're going to feel, what am I inspired to do? Well, I'm really inspired to try this new thing. Maybe I'm going to try some new recording equipment, right? And then the should comes in. Yeah, you could try that, but you know what you really should be doing right now? You're like a little behind on organizing this paperwork, and you're a little behind on this other stuff. Okay, so should is going to insert itself again. So then we can ask, what can I do right now? What can I do right now? And now this puts us in a place of acceptance and surrender, so we know where to start. Yeah, because most people can quit their job, dream up, but they can some of that. When I went through training to be a holistic health practitioner, I remember for a long time, I would our garage right out of the house. But I did know somebody, and right after they got all their hours in, they were going to open a center. Right? They didn't just start from home. They had to open a center. And then they only could really afford that for a couple months, and they had to close it up. Because they were not accepting where they were at in that moment. They weren't accepting. They just had this much money, right? So we accept where we are currently, not to stay stuck there, but to just understand what we have to work with. Now, you know who does this better than anybody? Our kids. Kids. And all of us have been children. And many of us have the opportunity to watch children do this. Children play, right? They play. They know how to tap into joy. And tapping into joy is important. It's the primary channel for abundance to flow through us and into our lives. But children just already know what there's to do, and it's to play. And they don't let any aspect of limit them. And they, as children, go through this of playing. They expand their imagination. They expand it beyond any base. One day I was working, and I was just sitting on the couch with my computer. My daughter, who at the time was maybe 3, she comes and sits next to me with armload of My Little Ponies. I don't know if you remember those. But she's down there with all her My Little Ponies. Mommy, play with me. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, oh, okay, what am I going to do here, right? And I had an idea. I'm like, okay, let's have a birthday party for the ponies. Whose birthday is it? And okay, she was along. So for me, not even 10 minutes. It was a pretty short birthday party. She's like, okay. She goes and finds her brother. And he would have been 5 at the time. She's like, we're having a birthday party. Transform, right? Because transform. Right? She has her My Little Pony. Villain who stole the cake, and they spend the next 2 hours who stole the birthday cake. Turns out that pony was sad. The pony was sad because somebody forgot that they didn't get a birthday cake. All this traveling through the universe. Everybody was happy at cake. Now, see, kids do this thing, and that channel of joy is opened up. Their thinking is limitless. Their thinking is limitless, and every time they come up with a new scenario, they're expanding their imagination. That's what we were doing when we were little. All of us were doing that, right? Who here was ever a cowboy? Who here was ever an astronaut? Okay, who here was ever a unicorn? Right? Who here was ever, a monkey? Like, we did it all. Right? We did it all. We did not let ourselves be limited. Okay, so as kids are fueled by joy, that's what we're here to be fueled by also. We're meant to be fueled by joy, not agitation over something we saw on social media, right? That feels terrible. So we know that's not what we're meant to be doing. Okay, but we are here to be fueled by joy so that we can find what is ours to do, right? And so here comes this old folky kind of saying. I don't know where it came from, but it's when you love, the money will follow. It's a refrigerator magnet saying, or love what you do and do what you love. But it sounds simple, but it's actually it's a door opener. It's a door opener for us, because when we are loving what we do, and it's not just about, I'm just going to love this, but when we truly find what is ours to do and we love doing it, we open a channel to greater abundance. Right? And like you could say, the secret of life is it allows us to feel our oneness with source. source, our oneness with that creative energy. And that oneness will feel like when you get so involved, forget to eat lunch. Like, and for me, that's kind of a big deal. Like, if I forgot to eat, I'd be excited about something. Okay? So we forget about the other stuff. The time goes by, and maybe we discover we're late for something, or we stayed after work, extra late to do something. Okay? Because being in that flow of the oneness with all, that nourishes us. So what we're calling for is greater things. And it's at this point, all of life goes up to support us. Okay, so I want to think about, how, of course, do we get started on all this? How do we get started with this idea, it's the heart and the mind are working together? What can I do? What fuels, what's fueling my joy? What lights me up? And when I was younger, I worked for a mortgage company for my first 10 years right out of high school. And then I went to school. I became a holistic health practitioner. I was a massage therapist. I did all kinds of stuff. And it was okay. It was okay. I like helping people. I do. But I remember the first time I heard somebody ask this question, what do you love so much? Free. You would do it for the rest of your life for free. And I realized I would not do this. Now, I still like helping people. And if somebody needs, a neck rub, or if somebody needs a recommendation for a flower essence, I'm there, but I'm not going to sit in an office and do that anymore. And I started thinking about my time as an administrative assistant, working in an office for 10 years. My husband and I, we had a band. And I realized it was my playing music, us being in a band together. I didn't care about the office job, right? It was it made me money. It was making me money. It's fine because over here I'm doing what I love. So I was still getting fueled by joy. Now, what I noticed, when I became when I went into healing, little kids came along, and we were not playing in our band anymore, hardly doing any music, and I felt the lack of joy, because I wasn't doing that thing. I loved being a mom. I loved having kids. We had a blast, but I was doing that thing. Okay, so the thing that is mine to do, one of them anyway. Okay, so that is a question, though, that we can ask ourselves. What would you do to have to do it for free for the rest of your days? Now, also, what happens, though, is if we're doing what brings us joy, there will show up in other ways. Okay, compensation will still show up in other ways. Okay, so here's the principle. In any form will follow the path of least resistance. Passion is energy that now follows that path, because when you are doing that thing you love to do in the flow, you're not pushing energy, you are being effortlessly lifted and pulled by it. Okay, so this idea of the path of least resistance, the path of least resistance is the easy way, and it's not the quick way. Have you ever seen ants in your house? Right, a big trail of ants. They go over the wall, across your counter, across a dozen spoons, to a minuscule drop of honey that's on your counter. Okay, so maybe you go in there and you have your spray, you indicate their path. Okay? What happens throughout there? And they've created a new way. Because that was, even though it's a lot of effort, they had to work. They had to scout to a new course for them. Actually, the path of, because we're being pulled along by the universe, even though what we love. Usually, we're putting in a lot of effort. We could be working pretty hard. We get to the end of our day, we're exhausted because we've been so excited about doing that thing that we love. So resistance, the way we know between resistance is when we feel like life has to me. That's not fair. That needs to change. I can be happy. I don't like that this happened. Okay, our focus is a problem. Our focus is on conditions. Acceptance is the crappy stuff didn't happen. Acceptance is, okay, yeah, this happened, but I happen to like. Well, we become solution oriented. Solution oriented. So, you got that? Okay. Here's the practice. When you are engaged in the moment, doing whatever it may be that generates a feeling and happiness, mindfully pause and look closely between of your bliss, and you discover something that is uniquely yours to do. As they're waiting. So sometimes we discover what is ours to do on accident because we got curious in our lives and we happened to be really happy while we were following that vibe, okay, of being curious and looking more into something. So every time we love what we do what we love, we discover something about ourselves, right? That we were made for this. We were made for this. And as that tiny corn has the divine program, a corn stalk and more kernels of corn, which is also that divine program that guides us, that pulls us into creating and calling forth. So this is from Oprah. You know what your passion is, realize that one reason for your existence on earth is to it. All of us. There's something that will bring us joy, and it's our calling to find that. So here is the payoff. Your passion will allow you to discover that which is yours to do. Your passion will set you free from the tyranny of joyous and bring the gift of your to the party of life. Okay, so are we in the flow? Right? Is all of life able to rush to meet us and to support us because focused on solutions? We're focused on calling forth greater things, right? Is that our focus? Is that what we're being influenced by? Well, we know that's what's influencing us because we'll feel pretty good about it. Or are we feeling stuck? Are we feeling like nothing ever works out, right? Are we feeling like we're just steps forward, 20 steps backwards? Right? Then we're just stuck in a condition, and we can change what we're focusing on, right? We can change that. Now, this next quote gives us a really powerful question to ask yourself what the world needs. This happens when, I've done this like a zillion times. I look around, what's everybody else that's making them money? And I'll do that. Well, it never worked, right? Because chances are they were following their calling. I was acting out desperation, tried to do that. Okay, so don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive, and then go and do that, because what the world needs is people who have come alive. Right? So I know when I asked myself that, like I got a whole different answer, and it turns out that people, it helps them. Okay, so what makes me come alive? Right? That's our question. We start with that question. What makes me alive? We let ourselves get curious about that, and we follow the vibe. So here's our call to action for this week. We'll start with our affirmation. This is the journey I was born to take. Let's say this together. 3. The journey I was born to take. Very good. Yeah. Right, can you feel that? Like, can you feel that? I have a lot of quotes today because there's just like so much good on this, but I love this one from Ralph Waldo Emerson. Each man has his own vocation, his talent, his call. There is one direction in which all space is open to him. Okay, now what this is saying, it's not we just have one thing to do, but there's just one direction we can go, and everything opens up for us. All of life rushes to support us, and that one direction is along with source within us. That one direction is trusting and living and acting in faith, knowing that those higher forces are there for us and that we're designed to be calling forth greater good. We're designed to be expanding good into our life and to expand our territory. So whatever it is that we're doing, when we're aligned with source and we're listening and we're acting in faith, that's the one direction where everything opens up. Nothing opens up when we're pointing our finger at something and blaming it for our struggle. Nothing opens up when you point your finger at the banking industry and how high interest rates are, right? Nothing opens up, right? What opens up is when we ask the question, like, well, what makes me feel alive? That's a question that opens us up. What maybe would be the next best thing I could do? That's something that opens us up. Okay, so there's one direction for us where we will experience greater good, and that's just being aligned with our true nature, okay, the divine, the Christ consciousness, the universe acting as us, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so there's where all of life rushes to support us in that one direction, right, that space. So here is our invitation for the week. Let's just ask ourselves this question over this next 7 days. What makes me come alive? And even if you already have something, ask the question again. Like, see what else things I could put a list, right? What makes me come alive? You know, think about children playing. They're always fueled by joy. They don't think about restriction. They don't think about limitation, right? They don't think about things like physics and, you know, what's available, really. They don't say, well, let's pretend we're wild horses. Well, no, we can't do that because we're not actually horses. They don't say that. Wild horses, be a Pegasus. Okay, let's be a Pegasus. Right? There's nothing that restricts their thinking. There's nothing that restricts how they show up in their play, right? I believe this is one of the reasons why Yeshua said we must be like a child to enter into the kingdom, right? That kingdom, that's within us, right? That's source energy, the divine forces, the higher forces, right? That expand our good and expand our territory. And so when we're like a child, what are we like a child? We're not looking at restriction. We're not looking at the limitations. Maybe we should be a unicorn, right? Always be yourself, except if you can be a unicorn, then always be a unicorn. Have you ever heard that? Yeah, okay. Right? Because this is where limitless thinking comes in and limitless ideas come in, right? So we don't focus on the restriction. We focus on, well, what would be fun? Interesting. Like, what would be amazing? That's what we're focusing on, because that is how we start transcending our own limitations. This is how we start transcending a limiting belief system, right? This is how we start transcending calling greater things into our life, calling things into our life that we are excited to say yes to. What makes me come alive, right? When we know what makes us come alive, other people start asking that question about themselves, right? If they see you and they ask, man, why are you like in such a good mood all of the time? And you tell them, you know, I just asked John, right? We see other people doing things and we think, I want to try that, right? This is the reason that I got off sugar and flour, actually. Right? I knew, like, it's a good thing to do. It would be smart to do. But I actually met somebody who was like, yeah, I got off sugar and flour, and all of these symptoms. Oh, I got all those symptoms. Right? So I actually a person, and I wanted to experience what they experienced. Right? So this is how we help each other on this path, right? On our journey right now. There are a lot of things. There are big shifts that are happening on this planet right now. Something big is happening. Like, we all feel it. Something big is happening, right? There is an evolution in our consciousness happening. Anybody here who is in like baby boom Gen X? Like I can remember going to a bookstore and the New Age section was like this wide, right, at B. Dalton, and it had Shakti Gawain, Creative Visualization, a bunch of yoga books, and Linda Goodman, Sun Signs, right? There were not, you go to the bookstore and there's just like rows and rows, right? Because of expanding consciousness. This is what's happening. There is but see, there are a lot of people who are struggling with this. It's a scary shit, right? It's uncomfortable, and I have to step out of my comfort zone. And really, we get through all of this by listening and acting in faith, by trusting that force within us that's guiding us, always the next best thing to do. And so these abundance principles are just another place for us to get curious. We can start with them. Like there's so many things that we can get curious, right? What makes me come alive is one thing we can do, one place we can start. What makes me come alive? Because this is how we are creating heaven on earth. So until next time, remember, you are divinely designed to be doing all of this stuff. That power that creates worlds is a power that is working through each and every one of us here. And everything you do, you are blessed, and so it is. So it is. Thank you. And thank you so much. I appreciate it. I really like your top, too. All right, we have a song for you before we go into our meditation time. And I wrote this song a couple years ago, that is. But about waking up right now. It's about being more aware. Stormy life that you stepped into. Sometimes you feel the storm blow through you, but you turn around to face the day, knowing you were meant to be here now. A long dark night that you have clung to, waking angels from their dreams of falling, but you open up the door, knowing you were meant to wake them now. We're waking up to new beginnings. That long dark night call forth the stars and the lilies. As you wake the angels from their dreaming, those sleeping angels bring awareness of the light that's in between. It's a golden life that you stepped into, and you can feel the love that pours right through you. You turn around, hold out your hand, so the sleeping angels understand. We're waking stepped into. All right. You ready for some meditation?
Welcome to Meditation. In this exercise, we connect with our higher self. I am, the part of our being that is permanent. The process for preparing for meditation with closing our eyes to minimize physical distractions. Relax the body and mind, just let them be. Take a few deep breaths, sending the excess energy away and letting go. We will move away from the outer levels of thought and feeling by remembering what keeps us distracted from our higher self. This recall will help us stop identifying with ideas, emotions, sensations, or beliefs that keep us stuck in the outer world, tied to our personality. We begin with detachment of our instruments of awareness. We have a physical body, and our body changes from moment to moment. Our body can be tired or rested, sick or healing, while the real I am, our higher self, continues as the silent witness, observing the body. We are not just a physical body. We are something far greater. We have emotions and feeling, but they also change from time to time. We can be angry or peaceful, depressed or happy, anxious or relaxed, while our higher self continues unchanged as the server of all of our emotions. We are not just our emotions. The real I am is far more. We have desires and urges, and they also change from time to time. We may like something one moment and dislike next. We can have doubt and strongly believe others. We can express the desire to have things or be rid of them. Our higher self carries on, observing with detachment all these differing and changing desires. We have desires and urges, but we are not just our desires. Our higher self is far greater. We engage in many activities and play many roles. However, we are not just actors playing the real I am, our higher self, is meant to be director of our higher actions in our life. We have an intellect that thinks, but these thoughts fluctuate. Sometimes they are correct, and other times they are wrong. They may even conflict with one another, or be at odds with our feelings and desires. While our thoughts vary and change, our higher self, the real I am, continues as the silent witness that observes and is capable of directing our thoughts. While we have thoughts, we are more than our ideas or thoughts. The I am is far greater. Every day is a new day, full of good possibilities, a chance to restart ourselves with a better, new image, to head into the new day with a fresh change of energy and creative ideas, new ways to look at old issues, perhaps new methods to manage the usual tasks, new insights to gain about ourselves and our work. When we meet the usual challenges of our day, we can do so by remembering we are empowered by the energies and guidance of our higher self. Whatever situations we encounter, whether favorable or difficult, we will be able to meet them with our full force of our knowledge, skills, and confidence that we will be constructive in the way in what we say and do. Although we may temporarily feel irritated or anxious or discouraged, we will still have enough strength, ability, and self-control, wonderful things. Where we know outer conditions or people limit what good we can do and the comfort we can give, we also know that we can still act with dignity to do our part in contributing to a good outcome, knowing that complete success may depend on the cooperation of other people. We sense we are approaching the limits of our patience or skill or understanding. We can play a useful role in offering what we have to speak and act responsibly and honorably. For we know we are supported by our higher self, guided by a higher intelligence, and by the benevolent energies of our higher life. We enter our new day with hope of all good things, mindful of our strength and our ability, and also gracefully accepting the limitation bear. expecting another successful and fulfilling day. If there are a few rough spots, we will be able to manage them with and self-control. And so it is. Think on these things, on these ideas for a few moments. We are always more than our body, or our feelings, thoughts, or the roles we play in life. Definitely more than our fears, doubts, and resentments. More than any of our thoughts and memories, and thus we can harness and work with all of our strengths to support our daily experience with dignity and confidence. The resources of our higher self, power, knowledge, and love, always. Let's return to the regular waking state of our thoughts, feelings, and actions. Comfortable are instruments of awareness, our body, emotion, desires, and our intellect. As we re-enter time and space, our personality has made progress in building a working relationship with our higher self, the real I am. Take a few deep breaths to help establish the waking state and return fully aware of our environment.
Thank Dawn. So we'll go into our daily word now. Our word for today is refresh. Stretching and yawning after a good sleep, enjoying a brisk walk in the early morning, sipping a replenishing drink after a workout or time in the sun, I feel refreshed. I'm forward into my next activity with a renewed feeling of well-being. Building upon and refreshing my knowledge may relieve me from thinking too much about my obligations. Spending time with a good book or revisiting favorite passages from my favorite writing can give me a relaxing mental pause. I find many opportunities to refresh my awareness that God, the divine presence, is within me wherever I am. Whatever I am doing, it takes only a moment to find God's presence, reflected in the people and animals I encounter and in the natural beauty that surrounds me. From Romans 15:32, so that by God's will I may come to you with joy and be refreshed in your company. Okay, so our affirmation is honoring the divine presence within. I am refreshed. Let's say it together 3 times. Honoring the divine presence within, I am refreshed. Honoring the divine presence within, I am refreshed. Honoring the divine presence within. Okay. All right. Announcements. Da, da, da. Okay. Announcements, what I'm thinking is, well, of course, after service today, we're going to, it's Fellowship Sunday, it's the first of the month, so we're going to go have lunch on the street. You can follow somebody down there who's been there before, but it's really close. Check out our website, unityukaipa.org. It has all our latest information on there. We're starting our Unstoppable reboot, and it's all free. Like, it's totally free. So if you're interested in signing up for that, just let me know. It starts on Tuesday, goes for 7 days, and it's not a whole bunch of stuff. It's like just easy little snippets to kind of give you a recharge in being unstoppable. And I guess that's it. Oh, it's online. It's all online. So you just it's on a Facebook group, although I did figure out how I can also put it on Instagram. So if you're interested, and we'll get you in there. And it just, like, any time during the day, pop in there and see what's, okay? And I think that's it. All right. Prayer.
Good morning. Please feel free to use the blue prayer request slips. We know that whenever two more of us are gathered, called forth in greater ways, together we confirm this truth, that the activity of God is already at work through every prayer request. We hold this light and let go. Let God this work. If anyone needs additional prayer support, and visit with or meditation, you can visit with the prayer chaplains, Taylor or myself, after services. We take this moment now to call upon the presence of our Heavenly Creator, Father God, and relax in your divine presence. We know that you are a life for us, our Creator. Together, we can create the most beautiful dream, a dream of love, peace, and joy. Together, we can create heaven on earth to the internalness of all humanity. We affirm all of your creation is working in perfect cycles of existence, creating the vast abundance and diversity of life. Diversity makes all stronger, and you have provided us with everything we need to survive. For where your treasure is, there our hearts will be also. Help us to have a heart fully committed to you and to your purpose, a passion for your kingdom and righteousness. We pray and boldness is what is right, speak the truth in love, even in the face of opposition or persecution. We pray that you will reveal your will and purpose for us, and that your Spirit will empower us to fulfill them with zeal and enthusiasm. We ask that you transform us from the inside out, so that we may be a reflection of your love and grace to those around us. Help us all to be a blessing to others and to bring glory to your name. God, we thank you for who you are and for all that you have done for us. We praise you when life is hard, and we praise you when life is happy. We choose to thank you in all that's in between. You alone receive our glory. Thank you for the power of your divine might as we allow it to express through us. And thank you, God, for showing us your desire for us as absolute good. As we move into action to do these things that we know, we feel your guidance and energy every step of the way. All is well with our soul as we pray to know you more. So it is in Yeshua's name we pray. Amen. Namaste.